Can you tell us some of the steps involved in steel pan manufacturing?
So the first step would be to select the proper tools.
Right. And so we have a lot of tools.
So we have a variety
today.
of tools used to manufacture steel pans.
Right.
And the majority of tools are hardware bought.
Okay.
So you can go to the hardware, you can get the 6-pound sledge,
right.
4-pound sledge. Where it becomes difficult is the special tools where you need to smooth out the material.
Okay.
The drums.
Right.
Alright, so those tools are often manufactured by persons such as Kurt Sargent.
Right.
So we have persons who specialize in
making those,
crafting specific tools for steel pan.
Okay.
Right.
And I know you were showing us as well when we came to visit you how some of these tools could be used for the manufacturing process.
Yeah.
So Mr. Sargent, we know that Mucurapo West is one of the world's first pan labs. Tell us a bit about it. I know I had the pleasure of seeing it. Again, our team was really excited. Tell everyone else who might not know much about it what happens there. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I had the pleasure to be the teacher who started that lab.
Right.
But it all happened through teachers clamoring for steel pan manufacture within the school system as a craft.
Yeah.
This is indigenous to Trinidad and it should be included.
Yeah.
So through the organization of Pan in the School Coordinating Council, the Ministry of Education and BGTT, now Shell, decided to start a pilot program
with the CBQ.
With the CBQ. And since we were already set, we had a mechanical teacher who have some ability in pan manufacturing.
Yes.
It was a nice marriage, and we got it off the ground. Since that time, we have Pan in the School Coordinating Council have been able to introduce 9 schools.
Right.
Within,
9 already.
Within, which is you hear in the headlight about Borneo these days.
Yes.
That was the 3rd school that came
on board.
Yeah.
Okay. And we were really impressed by the lab itself. You know, I'd never seen anything like that before, and it got me more excited to have this conversation with you all. What about the class though? The number of students, mostly boys, mostly girls, or?
Well, an interesting thing that happened when we started the lab.
Yes.
Our school were only girls.
Okay.
So we started with girls, a class of 6 in one instance, and then a class of 9.
Okay.
And for the first 3 years of the program, it was only girls.
Yeah.
And
doing really well, I'm sure.
Did a good job.
Okay.
So they were the pioneers, ladies, for the program.
Really, really nice. Glad to hear that.
Yeah, but since that time we have mixed classes.
Yes, more now. Yeah.
We have become co-ed again.
Okay.
That project with the ministry.
Yeah, so you have more mixture in the class.
And we try to keep a class as is an activity-based subject.
Right.
To about 16.
Okay.
But there's time when it's oversubscribed.
Yeah, you might have a little more than that.
Yeah, so.
Okay, that's good. Well, as we're talking about the CBQ and PAN at Mucurapo West, Mr. George, can you tell us more about the CBQ? Yeah, welcome.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, I was instrumental in getting Mr. Sargent School Mucurapo West.
Yes.
We worked along with the BGTT, now Shell.
Okay.
The NTA had a role in it also because they were responsible for training assessors and also certifying the training area. We also had a number of other people on board like UE, Professor Clement, and also Professor Copeland, who were actively engaged in putting together a curriculum for the teachers. Right? So it was a collaborative effort on behalf of a number of stakeholders. There are a number of people too who we may not even remember, but they contributed to the CBQ in schools. The hope is also that it will be extended to outside of the school area.
Yes.
You know, so that we can now, broaden the ambit in terms of having CBQ outside, not only in schools,
Right.
but other areas.
Other areas as well.
You know, like,
What is the purpose of obtaining or pursuing the student?
well, overall, well, you know that CBQ is a CARICOM award, right?
Right, yes.
So apart from that, it is portable,
Yes.
right?
So not just Trinidad and Tobago.
Right, it's portable. It offers real work experience.
Experience. Yes.
Right. Apart from that, you are able to, well, use it as a form of elevation.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And an alternative route
Yeah. And
to
imagine that.
higher education.
Through skills development, and we
Yeah.
know a lot of people have that passion as well, you know,
Okay.
for skills. So this is a great way for them to get certified, because
Right.
not everyone would be too inclined or interested in the academics. So this is great.
Apart from that, you can use it as to entry into the workplace.
Yes.
Right.
And you could have very viable careers as well. So I mean,
Right.
this is great to know that the students have this exposure in the school. We want to apologize though. We had some technical difficulties introducing Mr. Codrington. So again, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you all to Mr. Kaijah Codrington, owner of the Codrington Family Institute, and we're really happy to have him with us here today.
Thank you.
All right. And saying that now, I want to ask you some more questions. Can you tell us about the tools you use for pan manufacturing?
Right. So the tools I use are some which are custom made for manufacturing steel pans.
Right.
We can get, as you said before, Kurt Sargent make some of these tools.
Yes.
And what is interesting is that a lot of people think that steel pan is made from an oil drum. You take an oil drum, you get a hammer, you sing the drum, and you make a pan. While that is true, it's not that simple.
A lot more
Yeah,
work
the
goes
process
into it.
is very much scientific now, and we approach it in a serious way. Try to get an instrument that is notable worldwide. You can have it next to a grand piano. A grand piano is one of the most distinct instruments in the world.
Okay.
And that is where we see pan as young people in the industry now. So we have a modern tool now, which is called a pneumatic hammer. And we use this tool in crafting steel pans.
So we have that here
Yeah,
today?
so we have it on the table there,
Okay.
right? So we forget to mention the steps in manufacturing a steel pan,
Right.
right?
Sure,
So the
sure.
first step, as you secure your tools, you get a barrel. Now, if you go to an oil company to get a barrel, there are markings on the barrel.
Yes.
So the best type of barrel, you would see markings such as 1.2, 1.0,
Yeah.
1.2.
Okay.
These markings would tell us the gauge of the drum,
Right.
the steel of the drum, what type of specs are used in making the drum. And those are actually the best drum you could use
Okay.
for steel pan,
Okay.
1.2 gauge. Alright, so we would sing the drum, which is create a bowl-like shape. Alright, and sinking is very important because the way the drum is sunk or sank will determine the song you're going to get
That was
in
now,
the end.
yes, I was just about to ask if it would affect the sound. Yes.
That
So
is the most important step
Okay.
to manufacturing a steel pan.
all right.
After we sing the drum, we would dissect the drum into shapes. The shapes of the notes.
Okay.
The notes that we are going to tune at the end, what the player is going to see. Alright?
Okay.
So we shape the drum. After shaping, we would groove the notes. That is to help isolate each note. So when you hit one note, when you strike one note, it's not going to affect the other note. You won't hear two notes vibrating at once.
Okay.
Alright? So grooving is to help further separate the notes or isolate the notes.
Good.
After grooving, what we're going to do, we level the grooves. And the modern way of making steel pan, we try to get the pans as smooth as possible, as neat as possible, because we're trying to compete with an international market.
Yes. So the quality.
Right, the quality is important.
Yes, very important.
So after grooving the pans, then we would cut to the desired length.
Okay.
We cut the pan off of the drum. If you're not a tuner, then you would take it to a tuner.
Yeah.
The tuner would proceed to raise the notes, get the note to a certain height, and he would proceed to tune the pan from there.
Yes. Okay. Great. Great. What is your take though on the old versus the new methods of pan manufacturing?
So the old method, although there have been great results, fantastic sounding pans, the old method is not a method that I would advise today.
Okay. In
Because
terms of time.
there's time, and also we have to consider the way the world is now.
Yeah.
Technology has changed. We have stricter environmental laws, we have stricter
Okay.
safety laws.
Yeah.
So now we have special tools, eyewear. For example, the barrels that we use, some of them will require us to use a respirator mask.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
You have the earmuff. All right. And what is interesting is that the pneumatic hammer, a lot of the mature builders and tuners completely disregard it.
Oh, okay.
All right. So some of them would even say that if you don't use your hand,
You're not
you're not
gonna
doing it
get
from
that.
your hand.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
not going to get a pan.
Yeah.
That is not a pan. That is something else.
Okay. So they prefer to
Yeah, yeah.
stay away from that. Okay.
But the new method that we have now is very much scientific.
Okay.
We have specific measurements. Measurement determines sound. So we work with certain measurements. Nothing is by guess now.
Yeah.
Everything is laid out.
Okay.
So for a person who is venturing into making steel pan, you can actually get a book that gives you the steps to manufacturing a steel pan.
Oh, okay. All right. That's interesting. That's interesting. So we'll come back to you, Mr. Codrington. We want to ask Mr. Sargent now. At Mucurapo West, what are some of the things that students would learn in your class?
One of the first things, you will get a sense of confidence when you are able to produce an item.
Yeah.
That sense of achievement. I made this.
Yes.
You know. We also expose them. It's not just a craft. You can take it as a business. So we expose them to the business
Side of things.
Marketing skills, to contribute to the economical growth.
Yes.
And we also, at the end, they will be certified.
Right. And I know you mentioned as well that it wasn't on a timetable before, but now it is.
We are still having problems with that,
Yes.
because some of the schools that are involved,
Yes.
it's not fully, CVQ on the whole is not fully recognized. And
As yet,
I will
okay.
put in a plug
Yeah.
to, it should be accepted.
Yes, it should be. Yeah.
It should be put on the timetable.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
It should be placed on the timetable in a real sense, because we had a problem where some of our children will not come to the class because it's not timetable.
Oh.
And from the day it is timetable, they had that sense of it is a real subject.
Yes, so now they take it more seriously. Yes.
So we need that acceptance in all schools.
Okay.
It must be activity, added activity.
All right.
You know.
Okay, and after pursuing the CBQ and PAN at your school, what are some of the options that students would have in terms of further study?
Well, one great option we have at the secondary level, what we focus on firstly is manufacturing techniques of building a pan.
Right.
It is not really designed to teach you to tune.
Okay.
But sometimes if they build a good enough pan, we will put some song into it. So the first thing is that we focus on manufacturing. Shape, song will only be determined by the shape. So we concentrate on the manufacturing process. And then they will go on to places like MIC, who have a tertiary level in the program in the form of the journeyman, and they will also teach them some manufacturing, but they will have already break that ground in skill set.
Yes.
And then they will go on to learn how to tune there, right?
Yeah.
Also, we have we are clamoring for apprenticeship scheme to be introduced again, so that some of these children who obtain some level of skill can go and maybe be
work with a master tuner to hone their skills even better, like Mr. Codrington here, you know. So our
our duty to the industries to supply the minimum skill set that they can now go on to either MIC or to Mr. Codrington as an apprentice and become a master manufacturer or tuner.
And then you were telling us as well about some young ladies that went on to do the program at MIC.
Oh yes.
And they were really successful.
Actually, they are in the first cohort of that program the MIC have going on, and as far as I understand, they keeping the flag of CBQ flying high, and according I understand they're doing very, very good work there. You know, and by the way, it's only young ladies.
Mr. George, can you tell us a bit about the CBQ and steel pan manufacturing?
Well, just to elaborate a little bit more on what Mr. Sargent has said, this program, the CBQ in Schools program, really started in 2014, and it was a collaborative effort between the NTA, the Ministry of Education, BGTT, now Shell, Pan in Schools Coordinating Council, and also the University of the West Indies. Right? There are a number of other stakeholders like JP Associates, and Mr. Cooper at Panland and other people who contributed to this. So initially we started off with about 2 schools. Now we have 9 schools altogether. All right? The whole process was a little difficult at times when we started to get it together. But at the end of the day, perseverance paid off, and look what we have now. We are here mainly talking about this because it started somewhere down the road, right? So, and then at the end of the day, we are very happy because it is a CBQ, and the NTA must be given kudos for, putting together those standards so that we could use it, because it would not have been possible if we didn't have the standards.
And why would you say it is vital for students to have this CBQ in schools?
Well, I always made the comment, it may be taken negatively, but a lot of our pan tuners have died or died, right? And we need the young people to really fill the gap. And pan in schools, we have noticed that a lot of students generate interest towards it. And we have capable people like Mr. Sargent and others who are able to really enable students to hone these skills. After they leave and they go out, we have a number of places that they will get work. Initially when I was, given the opportunity to do the project, I wanted to find out if it was viable or not. So first of all, I went into a pan yard. Right? I went to Creb Susando Pan Yard, and I realized that there is a need for pan manufacturers, or what we call constructors, and also tuners. Because in the modern setting, we have a limited amount of tuners, and they don't manufacture pans or construct them. So you have the builder, you may have the scribe, or the person who marks out, and then you have the tuner. So there is a place for everybody.
And Mr. Codrington, can you tell us some of the risks associated with your job as a tuner and manufacturer?
So some of the risks would be, the main risk that we have in Trinidad and Tobago is the result of using poisonous chemical barrels. And we have to resort to these barrels because we are not able to supply the market based on the limited custom-made barrels that we get. That barrel there is one of the custom-made barrels. So whenever we have these barrels in Trinidad, it's only a limited amount. So at some point in time, it's going to run out. So we find ourselves using drums that are very toxic. All right, and to compensate for that, we would use a respirator, as I mentioned before, to protect us from inhaling some of these toxic chemicals. Aside from that, when we burn a drum, whether it's a clean barrel or a poisonous barrel, there's fumes. All right, we're going to hit the drum and it's going to emit smoke. That smoke is also hazardous and dangerous. So we try to take precautions to avoid inhaling the toxic smoke.
And as one of the youngest tuners and manufacturers in Trinidad and Tobago, what are some of the challenges you would have faced while performing this job?
So as a young tuner, we get a lot of fight down, I would say, from steel band managers, steel band owners, and even mature tuners. For example, a lot of the mature tuners are unable to meet the demand for supplying steel bands. All right, and that's because of being down in age. They are no longer to perform, no longer able to manufacture steel bands at a rate that they used to. So, for example, one steel band could come with a request of 10 sets of steel band base fans, and another band would come with a similar request. So, a number of those large requests come to hand. So, some of these mature tuners are unable to supply that demand. That's where the younger ones come in. So they realize that they are capable builders and tuners, young ones. But then when it comes to the payment, there's a problem. They don't think that we deserve the price that we have set for the instrument because of the age we are at. A lot of them think that you need to be a certain age to be a tuner. In fact, one of them actually told me that we are in the business of steel band for business reasons, not for the love of it. So when I gave my price, he told me he can't pay that because a tuner he would go to would pay, which is like 50% of that price. Right, I'm a mature tuner, so he's looking to me as a young tuner, and he's not willing to pay my price because I don't have the experience that he thinks I need. Maybe it's my youth. All right, that's some of the challenges that we faced.
Okay, Mr. Sargent, what about you? What are some of your challenges since teaching the program?
Well, it's a similar challenge in the sense of being in a school environment. I have to be very careful about the type of drums that I will expose my children to. So I will only use food grade drums or some of the oil drums from MP. You know, the drums that will not expose them to any form of, let's say, toxic chemicals and stuff. But also, to kind of get through that we use a lot of small pans. So the process that we kind of introduce the children to in the first term is making decorative pan-like items. So we will make clocks and cake bowls and all these things, pan-like item, and then we will take it to make the toy pans, the mini toy pans, and then we will introduce them to the larger drums, and we will get some from some of the corporate Trinidad who have food grade drums and stuff like that. That is one of the things that we have problems with. But also, we also try to expose them to manufacturing process because most of them are involved in machine shop. So we expose them to building their own tools, specialized tools, and hammers and stuff like that. So then what we want to do is add value to the industry. So when they go out to the industry, they are full package, knowing how to make the tools, and that in itself can be a business.
And Mr. George, what are some of the setbacks you would have encountered while doing CVQ in schools?
Well, first of all, a lack of understanding, lack of understanding as to what TVET is all about and what CVQ is all about, that is one. Two, lack of recognition for CVQ as a whole. You have this, principals and other people and other administrators who don't place much emphasis on TVET, right? And let's face it, technical vocational education is expensive, right? So when they compare that with the so-called academia, they say to themselves, well, it's better we go the other way, right? You also have, I think we should get more business involvement, you know, and more stakeholder involvement into the whole affair. It means that from the NTA's point of view, we have to more or less reach out to our corporate partners and let them know what we are doing, right? So in that regard, it would be, you know, everybody will know about CVQ, not only pan manufacturing, but all the other CVQs, which is about 120 that is offered.
Okay, thank you, Mr. George. Mr. Codrington, in terms of the demand for pans locally and internationally, how is that?
So the demand is great. In fact, there are not enough of us builders and tuners to meet that demand, especially worldwide. Trinidad has captured a large portion of the market, mainly because of the fact that the instrument has been invented here. It's indigenous, and we have captured a lot of the international market. But as I say, we are not able to meet that demand. There are not enough of us. So this is where the CVQ program is going to come in, all right? And when we get these new trainees who are going to come to work with us, they would now undergo another set of training to help them meet the international standard. Because we are competing with a market. The American tuners, they are very good at what they do. So Trinidad is actually playing catch up to these guys where quality is concerned. So a lot of the local tuners and builders, we are capable of supplying quality instruments. So as we get these newly builders and tuners, we're going to try our best to train them to help us meet that demand. So when they do come on field to work, we don't go a step back where production is concerned. Right?
And also, what is your take on the EPAN?
I think it's a real good innovation. What the EPAN does is allow a steel pan musician to incorporate an entire orchestra in his performance, his set. So a steel pan musician would no longer have to hire a keyboardist, guitarist, a saxophonist to accompany him to an event. All you need is an EPAN. And you can duplicate all of these songs on the EPAN, not having to learn the mechanics of a new instrument. The layout is the same, it's just that the tone is going to be altered to suit whatever instrument you want to get.
Okay, are drums or can the raw material for the drums be expensive?
It is very expensive. In fact, that barrel there, that custom-made barrel we have there, the price of that is actually $100 for one barrel. And that was imported from Chicago. So, and then when you look at importing raw material, you can't import a limited number. You have to actually fill a container to import these kind of materials. Excuse me. So, this is where the steel pan grant is going to play an important role in helping us to source the right material for steel pan manufacturing. So it means that the tuners who are not able to import their own barrels because of financial restrictions, and as a result of that having to use toxic waste or toxic barrels to manufacture steel pan, we can now access funding where we can actually import barrels used for manufacturing steel pans. Right, because when we look at the cost, one barrel could be as much as $100. And you need to fill a container, which means a container about 20 foot would take at least 150 barrels. That's 150,000 US. Then you need to rent the container. That's about 5,000 US. Then when the container gets there, we still have clearance, which is custom and duty, to pay on getting these barrels cleared to use. And at the end of the day, when we factor all those costs in, the cost to the customer is it's too high. It's very too high, very much too high. So this is where the grant is going to play an important role, and we have the the resources. We have the persons who know the specs of material to use, and it's just a matter of accessing the funding to get these barrels to us.
Well, we look forward to all the benefits that this grant could bring to the industry. And speaking of benefits, Mr. Sargent, what would you say are some of the benefits to the CBQ training for students?
Firstly, it is firstly, I will say it's charting new grounds in the sense of the economy as a skill for a new market, upcoming market. So they learning to build a steel pan. The brand TT, learning to build it in the country where it was first developed is a added option that you can use outside there to market yourself. That is one of the things that will help them market themselves outside there. I had an instance where 2 international tuners came and visit my school, and they assured those students if one came to France, he will hire them because he saw their skill level, and he said, "I will hire you. Get to France." So and he mentioned that France, Europe, on the whole, it's taken off there. It's really taken off there, right? Same with one tuner from America too. So people want that skill. We don't have enough, and as I said, my duty as a teacher, this indigenous craft that was handed on to us through our pioneers, we should hone it and maybe to supply the industry fully so that revenue will come back in that sense. Also on the point of manufacturing, why it is we cannot make our own drums, and that is where the mechanical engineering craft of this skill could come in. They are importing space, because a drum is space. What about the material, the right drop of material, and we make them here? All of that things have been done before, and it's just a matter of having the right people and in the skill area, because as I teach you to make a steel pan, I'm also teaching them manufacturing process. So some of my boys, they are innovators in themselves. You know, they find the problem solved. So again, that is an added benefit to the economy. Problem solving and creating. We need some creators, people who can take something and turn it into viable income through creation and innovation.
Okay, thank you. Mr. George, Mr. Codrington would have mentioned the grants. Would you care to elaborate on that for us a bit?
Well, this is a grant that is offered steel pan manufacturers to assist them to obtain tools and others. It is offered by the Ministry of Trade and Industry, and the application is online, right? So we could probably provide that information at the end of this session.
Okay, sure, no problem. Mr. Codrington, what would you say the role of corporate TNT is in terms of pan manufacturing?
I think corporate TNT has played an important role, because a lot of the barrels that we get are from large industries. Okay, we have the oil industry. We also have the furniture industry. The chemicals used to make or manufacture furniture comes in barrels. And what they do to facilitate us, we are also competing with guys who would sell diesel or gas regionally. So when they come for barrels, they take like 50, hundreds of barrels. So the businesses now, they would separate the barrels that are of a proper standard for making an instrument compared to the barrels that are not viable enough where we can use to manufacture instruments. So when the guys come for barrels for exporting diesel or gas, they would have a specific barrel to choose from. And the remainder of the barrels, good barrels, would be there for us to purchase. So that is an important role that they play in supplying raw materials for us. And the cost is very good. They don't give us charge us an exorbitant cost where we are not able to purchase the barrels.
Okay, thank you. I also want to pose the same question to Mr. Sargent and Mr. George. Let's start with you, Mr. Sargent.
Well, this might be a different angle. I will look at corporate Trinidad role in the pan manufacturing. I'm not going to ask for money. Everyone always think about corporate Trinidad. That is added on value with the money. But what I will say, one of the role that I would like with corporate Trinidad is they have the knowledge of business and business structure, right? So we would like to we would like to tap into that knowledge of business and business structure, marketing principles and all of that, so we get in a full package from this infant industry that we have here, pan manufacturing. And more so, ventures, cottage type ventures with corporate Trinidad where the profit gains that it can share. So in that activity, they place the capital similar to what we are doing now with the grant. They place the capital and set up cottage type business, and maybe you have a collection point, so then we can supply the larger market. So we have the standards already developed. We know what standard you want for the world market there. You have cottage type business where corporate Trinidad get involved in, and you have a collection point and you can ship as a brand TT. That is how I am seeing it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sargent. Mr. George?
Well, corporate Trinidad has been very supportive as it relates to pan manufacturing, especially, well, I could vouch for BGTT, or what we call Shell, who were very generous in terms of starting the program at the school. They offered $60,000 to each school for us to build a pan lab. The other aspect of corporate TNT, I think that the whole pan manufacturing fertility could get a lot of information from is the whole question of imports and exports, right? Corporate TNT could provide, as you rightly say, small businesses with the kind of help and assistance that they need to get off the ground and to stay above ground. So that is important and critical. So again, corporate TNT, they are engaged, they are active, but we need more from them.
Of course, of course.
Thank you.
And also, are there regional occupational standards currently available for steel pan manufacturing and tuning?
Yes, those RS, and when we say regional occupational standards, we are talking about the standards that are available, that was put together by the NTA for all occupational areas. To be exact, I think we have about 130 different areas, right? So steel pan manufacturing and tuning, they are only two of a number of ROSs that we have.
All right, well, this was indeed very, very insightful. At this time, I want to open the floor to any questions and answers from our viewers. So we have our first question, and someone wanted to know, what is the NTA's role in pan manufacturing? So I'll pose that to you, Mr. George.
Well, of course, the 9 schools presently that are involved in pan manufacturing, it would not have happened if the NTA had not developed the standards. So, of course, NTA is involved with developing standards, training assessors, training internal verifiers, training external verifiers, and also certifying training institutions. So an example of that would be JP Enterprises or Jimmy Philip Enterprises, where the teachers did their training. The NTA had to come in and do, an audit. So those are some of the things that the NTA is involved in.
And I wanted to pose the next question to Mr. Sargent. Do you think there's a need for more pan manufacturing programs?
Oh, yes, of course. And through the Pan and School Coordinating Council, they have already they charted the ground in having programs like this for years, for more than 20 years. And most of the young tuners that we can boast of came out from the Pan and School Coordinating Council. So when no one was doing anything, they took the initiative, formed themselves a group of teachers, formed the association, and worked over the years. Some names to mention, like Teddy Belgrave and Andre Moses, Pat Adams, and the list go on. Anyone who is involved in the industry most likely passed through Pan in the School Coordinating Council at some level. You know, so they have already took the initiative to have programs, and more programs like that can be introduced through them, and an organization similar.
And what would you say, were some of the challenges you faced in schools in terms of the introduction of pan manufacturing?
Well, as I said before, acceptance of the program fully by even the school and people belief system that craft is only for students who fail at academics, but the truth about it is that we should involve more of the academic type. I remember once my son went to one of those academic schools, and he was lobbying for the school to start the program, and one of the things I had to say is, Joseph, let it start at the grassroots where it began, you know, and I know for a fact some of those academic institutes want the program because they have seed, and we'll extend it eventually through Pan School Coordinating Council to some of those schools too. So that is one of the challenge we saw. Our next challenge is material, tools and material, and more so, some of these experts that we have that might be graying now, we would like to honor them in volunteering that knowledge they have. They must be part of the system. So at level 2, we find that we have an industrial training component. So people like mentioned Mr. Jimmy Phillip and Tony Slater and Mr. Leera. These people have already volunteered their service and their experience into the school to give that industrial component, right? So those are some of the challenges, but we have some who are already on board with helping the process to bring up the future generation of builders and tuners.
Should we be trying to get the duty removed on the importation of drums? I want to pose that question to Mr. Codrington.
I think that would be a good start, because when we look at the government, when they mention steel pan, they claim that steel pan is the national instrument of Trinidad and Tobago. Now, when something is the national instrument of or the national item of a country, what the government needs to do is to show that respect, to give us that support. So if they were to remove the duty on imported barrels, these new barrels are both-sided, so there are no chemical, no waste or anything stored inside of these barrels. So when it comes in, the officer can determine these are specifically for steel pan. They're not going to use this barrel to export other items. All right. So this is going to be used to make a steel pan instrument, which we claim to be the national instrument of Trinidad and Tobago. And I think that would be a good start that the government can implement for us, and it would go a long way. It would definitely go a long way for us.
Of course. And Mr. Codrington, you seem to be really popular here, so we have another question for you. It might be inspiring a new pan manufacturer, as one of our viewers asked.
Okay.
How lucrative and how long does it take to get into the field of pan manufacturing?
So I started this business 2 years into learning to make pans. So my family would travel to the world to do performances, and we did one tour in Venezuela. So after that tour, I had about 2 years experience with steel pan manufacturing. So the money that I got from that event in Venezuela, when I came back, I made it my goal to purchase barrels. So I purchased about 4 barrels, and that was the start of my business. As long as you make a pan, you're going to get it sold. But it needs to be a good pan. Okay, it needs to be a good pan. It needs to meet certain standards. For example, the chrome needs to be good. If it's a painted pan, the paint job needs to be good. Because when your work goes out internationally, you want to get more work. You don't want the work to stop at that instrument that you sold, and that was not the case for me. So I was able to make a number of instruments from those 4 barrels that I invested in, and as a result of that, I now manufacture to a lot of international countries, Japan, the UK, Australia, even Chile, even the Caribbean region, a number of countries around the world, and that is because of the standard that I have set for my first instrument. Because the pan world is a small world, and what's going to happen when someone receives your instrument, they're going to talk about it. They're going to spread the word. Hey, these pans from Codrington, these pans are really good. And that is how my business has started. And from since then, 8 years afterwards, this is where I am now. A very competitive builder and tuner. And it's mainly because of the quality that we set very early in the game.
Thank you. Also, this one is to the entire panel here. Is there any data that is available or statistics regarding revenue generated from steel pan manufacturing?
I think Ms. Cooper from Panland did some work, but I do not have that readily available to us at the moment, right? But what I can say is, and Mr. Codrington can bear me out, there is an increasing demand for pan, right? Steel pans throughout the world. In Trinidad and Tobago alone, we have about 2,000, let's say, well, we may have about over 6,000 people playing pans, right? Good. Apart from that, in the world, from that same paper that Mr. Cooper did, we had close to about almost 60,000 people playing pans in the world, right? So it means that at the end of the day, and every year, of course, as the steel pan becomes more popular, we are going to get increasing demands for it. So at the end of the day, the sky is the limit.
In terms of statistics on the revenue generated from pan manufacturing, is there anything available?
Yes. There was a paper done by, assisted by Pan in the School Coordinating Council that they submitted to the Economic Advisory Board, which is defunct now. And there's a whole article and data on the exports and the whole stuff. It is online. Maybe we can look at it as the Economic Advisory Board. I think that board was stopped in 2017. Yeah, there's information there. But the data is still true to form.
Okay, our next question. They said we don't have enough steel pan manufacturers to meet the demand for pans. What is being done, or what are you all doing as industry captains to encourage young people into the steel pan manufacturing industry?
Well, first of all, we have programs like the pan manufacturing in schools, right? We are trying our best to see how we can provide for the future by having this TVQ in schools. Again, kudos to the NTA, kudos to BGTT, kudos to the Pan in School Coordinator and the Ministry of Education for allowing us to start the program. We have had over 300 persons graduating from the program, some of which have gone on, of course, to do the apprentices in the industry. And of course, some have gone on to the MIC program. What we would like to see, though, is a number of other schools coming on board, and the funding and whatever it is that is necessary would, be provided so that we can expose our future tuners and pan makers to on the new craft.
So I would also like to add to that. As entrepreneurs in the business, manufacturers and tuners, we try a lot with especially young people. So a lot of young people would come to us asking for jobs because there are a lot of things you can do. For example, cleaning the drum just before it goes into the chrome shop, that is a job. There are a lot of jobs. But when we do get these people, some of them, they see the money before the work. So they expect to be paid a salary at the end of the month. I should be getting $4,000. And when they get people to work to pay that type of money, then it's good. But the attitude that a lot of young persons have towards business is that they need to be paid and they are not willing to work. So we are struggling with that. And this is why I think that the CVQ program is going to benefit us as entrepreneurs, because they would now have a certain respect for the instrument, a certain respect for the trade, knowing that it's very hard work. Yes, there's a lot of money involved, but it's very hard work, and once you come with that mindset, it's going to benefit the young people in the end.
May I add also that CVQ in schools allows the students to feel and experience the whole of work. So hopefully we will do a good enough job in the school, so when they come to Mr. Codrington, they'll be ready and willing, have the skills, the knowledge, and a proper attitude towards work.
One of the things that at the school level, what we challenge the student is in innovations, so and the manufacturing process. Whereas we can talk about the instrument of top quality, we also we can also have what I will say a generally good instrument, but it might be made by a master tuner that somebody might just want in their home, and that could be mass manufactured. So if we get it right with the manufacturing process, as Mr. Codrington was saying, we use the hammer, the pneumatic hammer, right? We can also even have a line, just like any industry, have a line and set up to mass produce these instruments that will be a basic instrument for any home, right? The skilled player, or what he might want make from Mr. Codrington or one of the big tuners, right? But every home can get one, and so we have to think about industry and the manufacturing process being introduced and made. For instance, I'll use my son, because he's involved in the process to and he have a design to add to the sinking process where so these young people, and even in my school I have some boys who design a foldable rack, so you could carry more to the so we have innovation being developed by the young people because they see things differently from us, and that is what I would like to encourage. The manufacturing, mass manufacturing, and it only can be done through the younger people with the new and new vision on how they look at things, and that is what we encourage in the process. So we mightn't teach them at my level to tune, but we're going to teach them the manufacturing process to the level that when they reach Mr. Codrington or they go MIC, that they can hone that skill, but in the process they can learn a line how to set up a factory line and all those things, so right into the MET syllabus.
Of course. Thank you for that. I know I posed this to Mr. Codrington already, so I want to ask you, Mr. George and Mr. Sargent, about the EPAN. What do you think about the creation of the EPAN? Let me start with you, Mr. George.
Well, of course, you understand that any innovation is fantastic. As it relates to the EPAN is like having a whole orchestra. You know, you don't need anything to accompany you, right? You're playing, a full symphony, as it were, right? And to me, again, kudos must go to the persons who were actively engaged and involved in the development of the EPAN. It also speaks to our nature as Trinidadians or Trinbagonians, where we can, develop and innovate and create. And the steel band came from us, and all these different types and sizes and shapes and all this array of instruments you see here is because we have been innovating and continue to innovate and evolve.
Thank you. Mr. Sargent, what is your take on the EPAN?
My take on EPAN is that, first of all, the steel pan is an instrument that, quote unquote, easy to learn because you get results one time as long as you learn the form, what you're looking for. And then the EPAN will give a steel pan player, musician, who uses steel pan as his platform, the ability to play all the other instruments on his platform that he used. That is a great opportunity. So you find that that player can do all his recording himself because he have that platform that is common to him. So I think it's a wonderful. We have the EPAN, the 5-pan, and there's a Ray, but that EPAN is excellent.
And I believe that was our last question, but any closing thoughts before we end today?
One thing I would like to say is that, and this is not only for pan manufacturing and tuning, we need to recognize our CVQs. That's my statement. We need to recognize our CVQs. We are spending a lot of money, right, on CVQs, and we need to recognize it. So I'm appealing to the powers that be, at the NTA, Ministry of Education, or whoever it is, may be, cancer, wherever. We need to recognize our CVQs. Thank you.
Mr. Sargent, any closing thoughts?
Well, yes, planning the school coordinating council, which I'm a member of, have been clamoring, advocating for a long time for pan manufacturers, let's say, teachers within the school. Now we have a whole set of people coming out from UTT, MIC, who are trained and can be qualified as teachers. So this thing could really get off the ground if we can get the inclusion as just as any other craft in the school system, whether it be mechanic or auto mechanics or plumbing or whatever. This is ours, and we have the people being qualified, and if it can be included as pan manufacturing teachers within the school system, and who's spearheading that is planning the school coordinating council for a while. They have been lobbying the ministry to get that facility for teachers within that craft level, because the world is going ahead, and I have had numerous amount of visits from all over the world. They wanted just so we should really look into creating the position pan manufacturing teachers.
Okay, Mr. Codrington.
So I would like to appeal to the younger ones to take education seriously, because what's going to happen? The world is changing, and if you were to get a job that you don't really like and you want to create your own business, education is very important. You need to speak the business language. You need to sell your business in a way that people will be willing to purchase whatever you are selling or whatever you are offering. So education is very important, and you have to understand that you're going to fail a lot of times. And I remember growing up that my primary school teachers used to tell us that you don't want to work in KFC, you don't want to work in a gas station. But when you hear those type of things, it helps you to, well, it creates a kind of effect that you don't want to fail. So if you do something and you fail, it's not for you. So you're going to try to change, or you may be too afraid to go into a certain business area or a certain type of area that you think would be good for you in the future. So I have had a strong support system where people would tell me, you have far to go. All right, you're going to reach far. Continue doing what you're doing. If it's not this way, try another way. And that's what I would like to appeal to the younger ones, that take education seriously. Whatever you decide to do, go at it bravely. And if you fail once, it's not the end of the day, keep trying. And eventually you may achieve the success that you want.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for participating today and for giving us your time. We want to congratulate you for all you have done for the industry, and we want to encourage you to give us so much more time. And we want to wish everyone a safe carnival season. And before we conclude, we want to invite everyone to participate in the NTA's perception survey. To do so, visit our website, www.ntatt.org, or visit our Facebook platform. We look forward to hearing from you. We want to know what you think. On that note, thank you once again, gentlemen, and everyone have a safe season. God bless.